Hey there, friends. Welcome to Just the Gems. I'm Brandon, and you know what? It's the end of the year. As I record this, it is December 22nd, the year of our Lord 2022. It's also my brother's birthday. Happy birthday, brother. Love you. It's also the time of year when hardcore gamers like me, with my huge collection of Weeby JRPGs and plushies, we sit down and we think about our favorite games that we've played this year. I wanted to do a top 10 favorite games that came out in 2022, and it occurred to me, I don't think I played 10 games in the year of our Lord 2022. I'm not very good at video games, everyone. I'm pretty slow and pretty bad at them, but I still enjoy them a lot. So that's what's important, right? My New Year's resolution is to get good. I was at least able to compile my top 5 favorite games that came out in 2022. So I thought, why not share that with you all? Now, a lot of these games, maybe all of them, are games that I've talked about before on this channel. And this is also a way for me to kind of wash my hands of them. I love them, don't get me wrong, but at a certain point, you gotta just shut up about a thing and move on. So this is my shutting up and moving on moment. I'm gonna say my final piece about these games that meant a lot to me this year, and then we are heading out for greener pastures in the year 2023. I mean, knock on wood. Can it get any worse? I don't know. This past couple of years. Before we dive in, though, I would ask that you please like the video. Please subscribe. Your subscription helps so much. Lets me know you're out there. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And now, without any further ado, let's get into my top 5 favorite games of 2022. This might be cheating a bit. This game originally came out in 2018, but the Switch version hit in 2022. Is it cheating if I'm making up the rules? Should I make up and obey arbitrary rules in my own YouTube videos? I will abide by the results of this poll. Okay, the no's have it. Anyway, I've talked before about my affection for Crystar. I'll be honest, while I was minorly intrigued by this game when it first released for the PS4, I pretty quickly lost interest, and thereby lost an opportunity to buy it for anything less than a ridiculous price. The reason I picked it up was pure FOMO. When I saw it was coming to the Switch, I knew this was probably going to be my last chance to grab it for retail price before the rare games market ran away with it. Like my dog, who only likes playing the first half of Fetch. It doesn't have jaw-dropping graphics or amazing gameplay. If it did, maybe it would have found itself higher on this list. In place of that, it offers a compelling and dark and twisted story, well-rounded and likable characters, gorgeous music. It's just aesthetics out the wazoo. More than once, I was convinced I knew where the story was going. At times, it seems like it's going to play out like a more stereotypical magical girl story, which, don't get me wrong, I'm fine with that. But it turns out that's not actually this game's MO. It's a far darker and bleaker tale, but it doesn't ever descend into moroseness, which, as a human living in the 2020s, I can appreciate. There's enough of that out there, you know what I mean? All of its positives contribute to the weird alchemy that places this sort of obscure, low-budget JRPG at the number 5 position on my top 5 games of 2022. I'm an enormous fan of the work of Kotaro Uchikoshi, so much so that I kind of want to print this Twitter exchange on some glossy paper and frame it over my bed. Pretty big fan. Naturally, Uchikoshi puts out a new game. I buy that new game. Having loved the previous entry, AI, the Somnium Files, I was beyond hyped for Nirvana Initiative. It's such a slick package. Even though it's, again, not the highest budget game, this feels like maybe something of a trend for me? Am I that weird guy that just likes the low budget stuff that nobody's heard of? I don't know. But Uchikoshi's team does great work with the resources they have. We're presented with what seems to be an impossible mystery, which is sort of a signature move for the studio. And we guide a couple of AI-equipped detectives through the process of solving it. There's a lot of singing and dancing along the way for some reason.
Only girls across the world, let's wake up and fight. Worlds apart with...
No, stop it. Stop. I will not do this again. I care too much about my audience. They don't deserve this.
Now's no time for a dance number. We have an investigation to handle.
The act of searching through suspects and witnesses' subconscious somnium is a lot of fun, as is the new sequence added for this title, where you can explore virtual recreations of the crime scenes to help you reconstruct what happened. The voice actors do a very good job as well, which does wonders for the character's likability. As for downsides, The English localization is a bit weak. It's seemingly a combination of the writing and the voice direction. Also, I just feel I need to say, and without spoiling anything, one of the significant twists in the story bugs me to no end. To say anything more about it would be to risk ruining something for new players, so I'll just say, even if you like the twist I'm talking about, you definitely know which one I mean. I'd love to talk about it with you if you want, just hit me up on Twitter. But even with all that said, I still adored this game, and it earned its place on this list for sure. Is there a name more boring in all of video game canon than The Legend of Heroes? I'll be honest, sometimes I forget that that's part of the full title of the Trails games. Sometimes I just want to forget. But as Shakespeare once said, what's in a name? Do you bite your thumb at me, sir? I do bite my thumb, sir, but not at you, sir. Just a brilliant poet. If you look past the dorky and generic name, you have one of the most epic and grand pieces of serial fiction ever produced. Trails from Zero takes everything good about its predecessors and dials it all the way up. Plus, it brings its own new features that even further refine the gameplay. This is turn-based strategic combat the way it should be. The music is gorgeous, the story is gripping, and as I've said probably too many times before on this channel, the Trails series, it's just my favorite JRPG series of all time. So why isn't it higher? Why isn't it number one? Look, I'll be honest, it's not higher because technically, I played this game several years ago. Okay, collect your jaws from off the floor. I'm not some sort of Time Lord, an American Doctor Whom. No. I just played the raw, unedited translation that existed online before the Geofront team got a hold of it and did it justice. So even though it read like a third grader's dream journal fed through a wood chipper, I could still generally follow the story and generally get to know the characters. This official release of the game is a treat because now I can actually enjoy it. But for me, it lacks a tiny bit of that first time spark. There's a moment in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 where two characters are having a late-night conversation. One of them is running out of time. It's a long story, but essentially these characters can only live for a maximum of 10 years. As the two characters talk under the moonlight, there's so much tension in the air. But they're not upset with each other. They're frustrated, crippled even by the situation. The conversation ends on a bit of a downer and they go their separate ways. Nothing is fixed in this exchange. No great ideas are conceived to fix the party's problems. Instead, two friends try in vain to comfort each other, unintentionally rubbing each other the wrong way in the sort of mildly irritating way that good friends with good intentions can sometimes do. And that's it. That's the scene. I love this kind of storytelling. Xenoblade 3 is fearless in its efforts to show us its characters. They aren't just one or two tropey personality traits stapled onto some spiky hair. These are fully fledged people. Their likes and dislikes, their traumas and joys, everything in their past and everything in their present. Instead of giving us blank slates to imprint upon with our own personalities, these characters are really and truly their own people. Xenoblade 3 spends as much time convincing you to care about its cast of characters as it does challenging you to combat. If you can't stomach lengthy cutscenes in general, and especially the occasional cutscene about late-night conversations where nothing is solved and no one feels better, then Xenoblade 3 probably isn't for you. And that's fine. To each their own. For me, even if I didn't love the gameplay, for the record I do, but even if I hated it, if I was still led to learn about these characters in the same way, I don't think Xenoblade 3 would fall off this list. It's a storytelling masterpiece. It has an award-worthy musical score. Yeah, got robbed at the Game Awards. Surprisingly good graphics, amazing voice work, engaging battles, an enormous wealth of characters and interesting side quests. It has everything. But the characters are everything to me. Okay, this is where I fully expect the internet to skin me alive. Not only are my top 5 favorite games of this year all JRPGs, I'm not even giving Xenoblade 3 my game of the year. Didn't I say it was my favorite Switch game? Maybe this will remain my favorite game on the Switch, who knows? Right there, I did, see? But I also mentioned that if it ever changed, I'd let you know. If my feelings ever do change, if something comes along that blows my mind, I'll make sure to let you know. And surprisingly, it didn't take as long as I'd imagined. Harvestella is a very different game than Xenoblade 3. To me, it's a purely aesthetic experience, not just from a visual or auditory perspective. but it's certainly that as well. I'm thinking of aesthetics as in the appreciation of something's beauty, extending even to something as esoteric as its ideas. You can't see a story exactly. You can see the graphics and the words used to tell it. But the story exists in your own mind as much as it exists on the page or the screen. A good story will hang around in the recesses of your brain even after you've set it aside. Sometimes it's a welcome visitor, but sometimes you're a teenager and you just saw The Ring in theaters and you really just want to get some sleep. But of course, you had to have your own TV in your room like an idiot, and at any point you know Samara's going to come crawling out of that thing all nasty and drippy and... What was I getting at? Right. Everything in Harvestella coalesces into an idea. A conceptual thing that is just resonating with me so strongly right now. It's got soft colors and light that glows and blooms as it reflects off an insanely sculpted fantasy world. It's got a soundtrack that conveys so much and covers so much stylistic ground that I hesitate to move forward in the game at times because I don't want the music to stop. It has a big cast of likable characters with unique backgrounds and combat abilities. It has farming. Okay, I'm not a farming game guy. But the farming is like 10% of this game. It's not hurting anybody, and it's not really asserting itself too much. You can pour more time into it if you like it, but if you don't, you should be able to get by with the bare minimum. This is a JRPG first, a farming sim a distant second. All of its elements seem custom built to hook me. It's learned from the greats in that respect. Even the things that might otherwise bother me in a game like this don't bother me here. I've documented my distaste for silent protagonists several times, and yet my favorite game of all time, Chrono Trigger, has a silent protagonist. If anything, Harvestella handles its silent protagonist even better than Chrono Trigger by giving you dialogue options way more frequently than most games bother to do. The silent protag isn't the only thing that Harvestella borrows from Chrono Trigger, by the way, and it makes me love it even more. I love that video games have progressed into referencing influential games of the past, just like more traditional forms of art have done for centuries. It's really great. Combat is simple in execution, but layered with options. You learn a new job every time you meet a new party member, and you can equip 3 of them at once, swapping between them as you fight, and each job also has an inherent type of damage it inflicts. Enemies, and more importantly bosses, have weaknesses to different types of damage. Inflict enough of a type of damage a boss is weak to, and it enters a break state where you do more damage. While it's in break, inflict enough damage in a second weakness type, and you double break it. Not only does this let you do even more damage, but it gives you an opportunity to have one of your partners do a cool superpowered attack. It's not the deepest combat system in the world, but I've been having a lot of fun with it. There are a variety of playstyles to be found within the job system, so you're rewarded for trying out new things. But with all that said, once again, it's an aesthetic thing for me. This game triggers something in me, something part nostalgia, part music appreciation, part fantasy lover. It's one of those rare games that's somehow greater than the sum of its parts. It's a masterpiece. Okay, prepare your flaming arrows. I'm ready to receive them. That's my list. Were you surprised? Were you shocked? Were you disgusted? I don't blame you if you were. I mean, it was pretty shocking and surprising to me. And disgusting, I think, goes without saying. But I really appreciate you taking the time to watch. Please, once again, like the video, subscribe. Please leave a comment below. I would love to hear what you think of the games that I picked, why I'm wrong. That'd be good to know. And also, your favorite games of the year. If you have a YouTube channel of your own where you've already shared this and I'm not currently subscribed, please leave me a link down there so I can find you. YouTube is not the best at surfacing accounts that I want to see. So your help is greatly appreciated in that. But as for me, I want to thank you once again for making this 6 months or so that I've been doing this channel so much fun, so pleasant. I've had so many good experiences interacting with people in the comments, people on Twitter. Follow me there if you don't. And it's just been a blast. And this hobby is really turning into something that I could see myself enjoying for a long, long time. So thanks again. Happy holidays. And until next year. Bye.